This poor boy would never have thought the poor woman he saved would be a rich woman with $1 billion fortune. He rushed the woman to the hospital, but when she woke up, she seemed to have lost all her memories. She didn't know her name. She didn't even know where she lived. We took her fingerprints. We couldn't get any information. She hadn't even worked. The police were right. The woman didn't have a job. Her father was the president of the largest hotel chain in the country. The most authentic caviar is just her daily snack. Her jewelry set is a private order worth tens of millions of dollars. Her only regret is that she never dared to pursue the one she liked. Annie's love is her father's business leverage. The police don't know how to settle this unknown woman. Carl said he ran a hotel. He could let the woman stay at his house temporarily, and a sweet love affair begins. The day before, Annie went skiing at the top of a mountain, but her boyfriend suddenly pulled out a $100 million diamond ring and proposed. Maybe God didn't approve of this loveless marriage. A gust of wind suddenly blew. It blew the two unsuspecting people straight into the abyss. The woman rolled and crashed into a tree. She fell into a coma. A horse-drawn carriage was passing by, and that's how the first scene happened. A sound came from the window, and was curious and went over. Carl came to hear the sound. He checked the window. He said it was near the forest. It was not surprising that there were some small animals. The gentle sound of his voice relieved Annie a little. Carl had made Annie a nice breakfast himself. Annie, however, said she wanted to try it herself. The woman didn't even know how to open the fire. She tried to pour the oil, but poured most of the bottle into the pan. The grandmother next to her laughed, but instead of blaming her, Carl offered to hand her the eggs.
Thank you.
Oh. Well, you showed that egg who's boss. A little messy. Looking at this clumsy woman, everyone smiled. Carl gently asked Annie to wait aside. Seeing Annie eating so happily, Carl decided to cook for her more often in the future. Annie didn't just eat for free. She offered to do the housework. She couldn't get into bed with all the help she could muster. Annie was so angry that she started to dance.
Why don't you try something else?
Then she challenged herself to do the laundry. So the laundry room became a bubble house. Watching Carl clean up the mess, Annie blamed herself. She didn't know who to talk to about the pain she was feeling. I did introduce myself, but I have no idea who I am. Can't tell you, I'm pretty much a useless human. Can't do anything right. But what Annie didn't know was that Carl was in the barn right now, watching her fall to the ground while trying to carry firewood again. Carl was very distressed. He rushed to comfort her. To cheer Annie up, Carl took her and his daughter shopping. Looking around at the beautiful scenery, Annie finally burst into a big smile. Carl said he once had a wife, but she died a few years ago, and the hotel was about to close down. People liked the new hotels, but he wanted to hold on to some of the traditional feel. Annie listened very carefully. She thought it was cool to see a man who could hold on to his beliefs. The owner down the street handed over a crystal ball. Annie looked at it in a trance. She felt like she remembered something. Carl rushed to buy it. It was his first Christmas present to her. The three of them then attended the tree lighting ceremony. They clapped and sang together in the crowd. They looked at each other with smiles on their faces like flowers in full bloom. When they got home, Carl put his daughter to bed and came to talk to Annie by the fire. His eyes were so hot. Annie could not help but blush. She got up to say goodbye. I just wanted to tell you, I don't think I've ever met anyone like you before. Because if I had, I would definitely remember it. Night. Looking at Annie's back, Carl's eyes were filled with tenderness. As each day passed, Annie grew to love this place. She would say hello to everyone, and then she would go and make her bed in the bright sunshine. Carl would patiently ask Annie to turn the spoon. Each time, he would make his daughter laugh. They had only known each other a short time, but it was as if they had become a family. In their free time, the family would get together to listen to Carl play the piano and sing. He always had that look in his eyes, and didn't look away. Carl could do anything, teaching Annie how to ski. Watching her go off the track, Carl rushed out to rescue her. The two fell to the ground together. The good thing is that both are not hurt.
Thank you for saving me.
Carl said he was going to the annual toy drive. He wanted to donate his extra toys to children in need. Annie was immediately excited. She said she would like to participate in such a caring event. Carl carefully taught her the art of wrapping gift boxes. She laughed at the duct tape. One of the older women said that everyone wanted to do something to repay Carl for his charity. Annie got an idea right away. When she got home in the evening, Carl asked Annie if she would forget this place when she got her memory back. Annie says she will never forget it. Two of them accidentally stood under the sal parasite, and there is a local custom. A man and a woman who kissed under the salvia will bring good luck. The two people who were interested in each other looked at each other shyly, slowly approaching, but just at the right moment, Carl stopped. He was afraid that Annie already had a lover. He was afraid that she would leave him when her memory returned. It was the first time Annie had thought about it. Her mind was in turmoil. In the morning, Annie asked Carl's mother to find out the contact information of all the guests.
What's it for? A North Star fundraiser.
But Carl was adamant that he didn't want to raise money to save the hotel. He thought it was a handout. Annie tried to persuade him, but Carl was adamant. For the first time, they argue. Carl knew he had said the wrong thing in the heat of the moment. He rushed out to apologize. Okay, actually, it is you. Ever since you got here, you made me feel things that hide it and everything I was ever gonna feel again. I guess I'm just afraid of making new ones, even with somebody like you. Carl's mother knew that Carl was upset about Annie. She rushed to comfort him. She said that more important than remembering the dead is the present and the future. You've been doing everything you can to hold this family together. But we're all right now. It's okay to let go. Feeling his mother's gentle embrace, Carl was relieved, but Annie decided to leave immediately. She was afraid that her feelings for Carl would grow deeper and deeper. Carl's daughter rushed over to stay. Carl also came out with a doll. He said it was a gift he had given to his ex-wife. It had been a memory he treasured. Now he asked Annie to help him hang it on the Christmas tree. He wanted to make new memories with her.
Please.
But you said...
I know what I said, but I don't want to do this with you.
Even though he didn't say I love you, but Annie had understood Carl's feelings. She couldn't hold back the tears that were welling up in her eyes. The two of them worked together to entertain their clients, and they went out on the street to hand out flyers. A better life beckoned. Wow. Sarah, I love your dress. Look beautiful. Annie wanted Carl to see her beauty. After understanding Carl's feelings, Annie couldn't help but show her beauty. The mother rushed to find an excuse to take her daughter away. The two of them hugged and danced together. Their breaths were mingling with each other. There was a lightning flash between their eyes. They are slowly moving closer to each other. But then their best friend suddenly pushed in the door. It was time for the Christmas party. After all the fun and games, Carl excitedly introduced Annie to everyone. He expressed his passionate love for her. Annie was in tears. Amidst the applause, she boldly went on stage and stood with Carl. Sarah, I found you at last, darling. Look at you, I've searched anthems. Faced with this sudden appearance of a man, everyone's face was confused, and then Annie's father came alone. He called out her name eagerly. For the first time, Annie knew her name was Sheila. She also had a boyfriend who had proposed to her. As the two men told her information, Annie gradually remembered everything. I was skiing and I fell and I hit a tree. And then I ended up here with you. In a daze, Annie was led to the door by the two men. Carl's daughter ran to Annie and hugged her, begging her to stay. Carl reluctantly called his daughter back to him. He knew it was time to wake up. I don't even know what to say. Thank you so much. Forget about it. Watching Annie's back as she left, it was as if Carl heard the sound of a broken heart. Annie woke up on a luxury mattress worth $2 million. But in her mind, she interpreted the little moments with Carl. She made the bed neatly as a matter of habit. This startled the maids. She refused to wear an expensive dress. She volunteered to go to the kitchen to make breakfast. Her behavior was incomprehensible to everyone, but she was enjoying herself. Annie's story was soon reported on television. She told the press about Carl and his hotel in an attempt to increase the number of clients. The family, who had been listening with great interest, fell silent when they saw another man holding Annie's hand. Carl turned off the TV. He was in a bad mood. The daughter was sad that her Christmas wish had not come true. It turned out that she had wished for her father to find the woman he loved. That's when a violent wind blew Annie off a cliff. You like her, don't you? Well, yeah. Do you ever tell her? We're not in so many words, no. There's still time, Dad. I think you should tell her. Go get dressed, go tell her. Let's go. Okay, alright. Father and daughter decided to try one more time for happiness. They immediately set out on a quest to find Annie. Numerous phone calls were made to the hotel. They all wanted to experience the place where $1 billion lived. And at the same time, Annie decided to give up on this unrequited business relationship. She told her father what she thought. And the most important thing to me is that you're happy. Annie is grateful for her father's understanding. The two of them hugged each other tightly. She rushed back to her boyfriend to explain the reason. He smiled and said he wanted to take a picture of her and post it on the internet. Nothing like a breakup was really add to your numbers. Things went much smoother than expected. The two of them finally met again. They told each other how much they missed each other and planned for a better future. They kissed in the bright sunshine. They made a promise in their hearts to be together for the rest of their lives.